Hi, everyone. Hello. So as you have entered on the speaker view, I am going live. And if you are watching it live on Facebook, bear with me. This is the first time I'm taking Zoom live. All the participants, you will not be shown. I'm in the speaker view. So we will begin. And I'm going to start with sharing the screen. I'm trying to figure out a few technicalities. So just hang in there while I do this. Mary?
Yeah.
Can you see the slide?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Yay.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure. Okay. So I'm going to go back and mute you. Thank you so much. All right. So I'm hoping that I'm live, but all I see is my Zoom screen, and I don't know how to, just hang on one second. I just don't know how to make sure that I am live on Facebook. So just one more second while we figure this out. Okay, I think that we are live. Okay. So I'm still admitting some people, but just trickling in. This is the world of technology. There's always this weird things happen at the beginning of it. And I think that's also a good thing. It can kind of get us out of our head and into the reality of what's going on. So Candy is there. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. For those of you who are, most of you know me, and for those of you who are new, I'm Meena Puri from Ayurvedic Healing Center. So this has been an interesting time for all of us on many, many levels, and everybody's experiencing all kinds of things. And I think whatever we are aware of today is not necessarily that awareness changes from day to day, because things are changing day to day. We're kind of getting like peeled off one layer at a time. And so welcome to this very important topic, weathering the inner storms. So with this whole pandemic, the whole, our mental and emotional, our psyche has gotten all rattled up. And so I thought it was a very important topic to kind of start having a conversation about. This is how important it is. So here's the thing, for those of you who know me, who work with me, you know that I have a crazy sense of humor. I don't, this is a serious topic. There are a lot of serious things that happen in our life, but we don't need to take it so seriously. And the truth is, none of us are spared from life's experiences, from bad to worse to good experiences. We're not spared from it. We experience it in different ways. So I want you to just kind of kick back, relax, take a deep breath, and we'll just kind of go into this topic in a very easy way. So we're not, scared by it or think, oh my God, all of my stuff is going to be revealed. There's nothing like that. So take a deep breath and just relax, and let's see where we go from here. I'm finding a little bit, trying to make sure that we're on. So I'm just going to put the phone away. If I'm on, I'm on. If I'm not, I'm not. I don't care at this point. Okay. So, like I said, it is an important topic, but we don't need to take it seriously. And why is it important? I can tell you from years of being in the clinical practice that when clients walk in, any issues from physical all the way to the non-physical, most of the time they're not aware of the non-physical, like mental and emotional. And if they are, it's a very vague state. So they really come in with the symptoms that show up for them physically. But that's not what they end up leaving with, because we discovered that the issues are coming from far deeper than the physical. So even when we look at the mental, emotional, collectively, I will call that psychological. Even underneath that, when we think about mental and emotional, what are we talking about? It's energetic. We can't touch the mind. We can't touch the emotions. We can only experience it. So we're talking about, energetics, and that's at the deep root cause of the physical symptoms. So some of the stories that I'll tell you, a client who had experienced all kinds of trauma in their life, talked about it, but really was shut down from the feeling level of it. So the body was breaking up into boils or rashes in fingers and toes. So if you are not muted, please mute yourself just so nobody else is distracted. And so that's how it was showing up in the body. And I can, tell you endless stories and how their health of the mental and the emotional was a breeding ground for the physical symptoms. So that is why it is important. And what happens with the mental and the physical, I'm going to take you to the next state. Where we come from, we have not known how to handle that terrain, how to handle that aspect of our being. The truth is, we are still learning how to be human, what it means to be a human that is whole with all the aspects working and integrating. So when we, look at our history, look at the past, look at our parents, and what we have is, just one second. Just looking on my phone to see that this thing is working or not working. So if you can, just so you guys, we are in the speaker view. So when we look at our history and our parents did not know even that aspect of the being. They had emotions, but they didn't know how to express them. So when we don't know what to do with something, what we end up doing is nothing. So as children, we learn that behavior. So mom is the word. Don't talk about it. You're making a big deal out of it. You're just so sensitive. You're so emotional. You're mental. So there's that negative connotation when it comes to our mental and emotional health. And many times what we feel, we don't feel good about it, and we don't want to disclose it to anybody. So there's a fear of judgment. So we just hush up, and we kind of, the word is suck it up, buttercup. And we have learned to do that on many, many levels. And that's where we have been. So that's why when we come into our life, we don't know how to handle that part of our being, because we have not learned it. So the only thing we know to do is when we don't understand what it is that we are feeling, we tend to push it down. We push it away. We don't want to deal with it, which is very natural. What ends up happening is that we don't actually push it down. We don't push it away. We push it down deep into our psyche. What the experience remains, and that results for many clients in behavioral issues, such as they begin to feel insecure, confused, and they act out by being passive aggressive or controlling others around them. And and it turns into many times into aggressive behavior. When we continue to push down our experiences, it blindsides us and grips us with low-grade anxiety, depression, and worse, physical symptoms. So here, I talked about how when we push things away, we actually push them down into our subconscious. So if you can all stop your videos, please. It would be less distracting. And so our mind there are two minds. There's a conscious mind, the subconscious mind. Conscious mind is about 10%. And that's where our willpower, our planning, things that we are aware of. We make decisions. But what we don't understand that the power for those decisions is coming from the subconscious mind. 90% of our life is operated by the subconscious mind. So think of the subconscious mind as the operating system. That's where our long-term memory is held. And that's where our emotions and feelings are, our beliefs, our patterns, and our involuntarily body functions, our creativity. And if we continue to delve into that, that's where our spiritual connection and our intuition lies. And so what we have known to do with our emotional and mental health is we deal with it mentally. We deal with it in the mind. We deal with it at the thinking level rather than at the feeling level. So we intellectualize it, we package it nicely and we put it away. We make rational understanding of it and we put it away. And other thing we do is when something is painful, to admit or to acknowledge what we're feeling is naturally to find fault in the others because the emotions need a channel. And unfortunately, many times we channel it out to the other, so it's somebody else's fault. Because there's so much conflict, internal conflict, there's a gap between what we are experiencing and what we believe we should be experiencing. So that conflict creates almost like that unequal equation. And the mind naturally then makes up stuff like shame and guilt. And when we don't know it, we continue to be stuck in the same old pattern. So we have learned all of this, but we have not learned how to digest or metabolize our experiences. And that's one of the reasons where we are evolving in this time. And that's one of the reasons until we metabolize the experiences, the energy that underlies those experiences, it continues to circulate and we continue to have the same old repeated experiences. And we've all heard the word emotional intelligence. That really is what it is. Emotions are a compass to our inner terrain. If we understand what to do and how to use that compass, we can become very emotionally intelligent. And that emotional intelligence is a step towards the direction, towards us becoming whole. And the PTSD is exactly that. And we'll talk about trauma in a minute. That's exactly that. Is past the trauma, experiences begin to rise to the surface. We don't know what to do with those experiences. Because we don't know what to do, because we don't know how to metabolize, naturally that leads to anxiety, low-grade anxiety, and chronic depression. And so that's one of the reasons that we don't heal, is because we continue to metabolize the experiences mentally. We cannot metabolize the experiences mentally. It's like not eating the food and enjoying the food, but just thinking about the food and how good it would taste if I actually cooked it and ate it. So there's that difference when we are just using the mind to metabolize the experiences. So like I mentioned earlier, behind the mental and emotional experiences, there are complex energetic structures. It's the energy that needs to be healed. Talk therapy works on the conscious mind, which is 10%. So talk therapy and intellectualization of the experiences are connected. It's useful to talk about our experiences. That's a step towards processing it, but it's not a complete picture. A lot more needs to happen in order for us to metabolize the experiences and bringing those experiences to freedom. And understanding the energetics. So there is, we all know love, energy, anything. Energy is not something we create or we destroy. It can only be transformed. It's a law in physics. So when we look at it that way, which means that our current life, our current energetic life, is a continuum of the energies in the past that we yet have to heal, or the energies that we have not brought to completion. So many times we want to be free from suffering. Actually, that's what we want. We don't want to suffer, but we don't understand what that means. When we want to be free from the suffering, we push the suffering away. When we push the suffering away, we actually create a lot of power in the energy of it. So whatever we resist persists. So the energy of suffering becomes stronger and stronger. Therefore, we can never get away from it. It's about understanding how to transmute or transform the suffering into love. And I shared this story before. A client who has a long history of bronchitis, chronic bronchitis. When we did all the work, she discovered that even in her mother's womb, her experience was that she was not able to able to breathe. She was grasping for air inside her mother's womb. So she was not able to breathe even in her mother's womb. And she spent her entire life not being able to breathe properly, dealing with chronic bronchitis, and then finally realizing where that was coming from. And with her work, now she's able to breathe for the very first time. So just like the root cause of physical is not physical, the root cause of emotional is the energy behind it. So like I mentioned before, our subconscious holds the belief patterns, it holds the unmetabolized experiences, and it holds the past life energies. And what is a trauma? Trauma is many times just the word traumatizes us. So in this, our discussion, we'll talk a little bit more about that. So trauma is when we are in a state of constant alert. There's no timeline, there's uncertainty, and the experiences, we are experiencing things, but we don't quite know what to do with them. And we only heal trauma when we come to a place where we feel safe. Many times it's years after the trauma. That's what results in post-traumatic stress disorder. And so it's important to acknowledge that what we are currently experiencing is global and individual trauma, because we are in a state of constant alert. We don't know when and how this is going to end. There's a lot of uncertainty about it. So it is a traumatic. Many of us are still in a state of shock or disbelief. And so how do we kind of make the trauma less intense? How do we make this word trauma less intimidating? So I call it, how do we destigmatize it? acknowledging it, acknowledging that we are experiencing trauma, giving our experiences a name really helps us acknowledge and become aware of what it is that we are feeling. So many times the trauma will leave behind shame, fear is for sure, and guilt. Many times there's a guilt of the survivors. There's a guilt of what have I done to bring this upon? And then we blame. Somebody did this, there's a conspiracy, the politics or whatever not. And because there's so much experience that we don't know how to metabolize, mind is looking for relief, the heart is looking for relief. So we just channel the blame onto someone else that makes it a little bit livable on a temporary basis. So this current pandemic, how it is the catalyst for change. Things are changing for sure, but it is up to us. How do we want these things to change? And, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing with this, you know, this unseen and this unknown virus, this novel virus has created so much upheaval in the whole world, and it has caused so much upheaval in families and at people for, you know, people at personal levels. So how is that possible that so many of us, but it's the same pandemic, but we are all having a different experience? Many people are, you know, the experiences are very different for each and every one of us. So what really this pandemic has done, it has peeled off the layers. Because we are able to pause, the layers that we have built around our emotional and mental health, they're getting peeled off. So we are seeing what's been hidden. And anything that we have not resolved up to today, up to this point, it is what's showing up. And that's one of the reasons everybody's having different experiences, because it's a result of the state of the individual nervous system. Everybody has a different past. Everybody has different experiences in their life. Everybody is in a different place mentally and emotionally. And whatever needed to be healed, that's what's showing up. So now it can be the catalyst, and we can go any different direction. We can either get stuck in the same old way of responding to that what is uncomfortable for us, or we can make a choice and understand that there's another way. There's another way for us to respond to what we are experiencing. So in that way, we can rewrite our history. Rewriting our history has to do with changing the perspective, changing our mindset, and looking at this in a whole new way. And if we can change our mindset and where we go from here, we can be in charge of that. We can create the future that we want to create. So like I said, it's really important to give a name to your experiences. So some of the experiences that you know, we're all experiencing or they're coming to our awareness are a state of overwhelm. There's confusion for sure. There's anxiety, hopelessness. There's also some grief. Grief of the world that we think we have lost and we don't know what's happening. And there's sadness, there's lack of motivation. But I do want to point out that not everybody is you know, feeling all these darker, bleak emotions. There are many people who are, you know, they are grateful that finally for the first time, they're able to take a pause. They are relieved. Their anxiety actually has lessened. They're sleeping better. They have calmed down because this pause is exactly what they needed. So there's that happening at the same time. And Fatigue is very normal. Even when we are sitting around at home, sitting on the couch and sleeping a lot more, there's a lot more fatigue because there's a lot of experiences that we are taking in. We are trying to metabolize and not knowing how to metabolize the experiences a lot. Our nervous system is trying to organize and continuously reorganize to hold the experiences, and that's taking a lot of energy. So that energy is depleting our reserves, and that's one of the reasons that we are feeling fatigued. So it is important that we take it easy. We do take extra rest, even when it feels like we're not doing much. We are doing a lot with our psyche, with our mind, with our heart. We're doing a lot there, and that's what we need to recognize. Some of the other experiences that come to mind is people are having cold hands and feet, or their numbness, and there's bouts of intense anger showing up in relationships, or people are just retreating, withdrawing, their personalities are changing, they're becoming different. So all this is resulting from this global pause. And so naturally, looking for comfort, we go to anything that can comfort us. Food is a source of comfort, alcohol, substances. And so there's no judgment there. It's just that it's not about the alcohol or the substances. It's just that we're looking to find meaning. We're looking to soothe our pain. And these are the ways we know that can temporarily soothe our pain. It's not the healthy way, but we're just here to bring awareness to what our experiences are and what are some of the common ways that we are looking to find relief, okay? And another interesting thing, any grudges, old memories that you had held on to, they are showing up with a vengeance. That's the experience has been with many of my clients. Fear of death is very natural because we hear death every single day. Every single day someone is dying from this virus. Why? It could be me, it could be you. And I think it's the same fear that can actually make us living. Fear, death is a fact. And when we hold it in our awareness, we can really learn how to live each day, because we're not here forever. We're all terminal. So it can really make us appreciate life in a whole new way. Another way to handling how we are experiencing this time is crying out of nowhere. People are becoming very vulnerable, or they're laughing for no reason. And really, what I want to leave you with, however you are experiencing this and however you are adjusting to this big shift, let it be okay. The only thing for you to do is to become aware of it. When I say let it be okay, we are a culture of judgment. We're a culture of what's right, what's wrong. We're a culture of what's acceptable, what's not. I think this is a time that we really have to redefine all of that and suspend all judgment and expectation out of you, out of your family members, and just give yourself a break. Just be aware and just step away from all judgment so you can really see what there is truly to see. What to do, power to choose. So, as I was thinking about this, our power to choose first has to come from our ability to be aware. When I talk about awareness, it's not just, yes, I'm aware. It's really about acknowledging, becoming aware, and embracing what it is that you're feeling. There's a level of compassion. There's a level of acceptance that has to be part of that awareness. So awareness is everything. A simple example is, I've taught yoga for a long, long time. Just to tell, somebody's walking with their foot sticking out and they're continuously experiencing pain in the hip. They have no idea. So they think the hip is the problem. When I brought attention to the fact that they can adjust their foot, and if they bring their foot in this way, and if they walk this way, the hip pain disappears. So a simple thing, a simple level of awareness saved this person from further pain, possible surgeries, and injury to other parts of the body. So awareness is really, really powerful. So awareness has to do with first acknowledging what it is that you're feeling. Really hold it in your awareness and withhold any judgment. And many times when we become aware, people get really upset, like, how come nobody told me this before? We have to trust that there's a perfect time for everything and accept that whenever it happens, that must have been the perfect time. So awareness gives rise to our ability to choose, that we can experience this pandemic in a different way. There's a combination of things that are happening in the world. There's, tragedy and miracle at the same time. So as much as we want to hold these experiences, hold space for these experiences, where can we take our mind to? Can we take our mind to what's possible highest? Can we take our mind to what's available for us? Where we can go with that? Can we choose to look at this time in a whole new way, perhaps a new possibility for a new world for each one of us, perhaps a world that you had shut down, that you thought you were never going to do. Perhaps this is the time for us to rise to that potential in our individual way. So we can either be, fearful or trust. It's the same energy. Trust comes from transmuting the energy of the fear. It becomes trust. Anger, when we transmute it, it can turn into insight. We can see beyond what's visible to the naked eye. We can gain intuition. We can gain the perspective of a bigger picture. So unknown, there's so much unknown. And naturally, one of the first thing that comes to our mind, because we are we live in a culture of planning and controlling, we don't do good with what's unknown. But unknown is a quantum field of all possibilities. Unknown is not this scary, black or bleak place, which we don't know what it is. Unknown can be whatever our mind can imagine it to be. With our imagination, we manifest from the unknown that which we desire. So unknown doesn't have to be scary. And we need a bigger context. Frankly, there's no other way that I have found to make sense of this. I think I said to somebody like a couple of days ago that this is not COVID-19, this is God. So here's the bigger perspective. So there's something much, much bigger happening here. I think we all are coming to the realization. There's the whole environment being cleaned up. There's all the deception perhaps that is surfacing. People are returning back to their homes, almost living an Ayurvedic lifestyle. They are exercising or they have a morning routine. There's all this spiritual conversations that are going on. There's people are meditating, people are cooking at home, people are cleaning their homes. So we're really coming back home to ourselves. So there's all these wonderful changes that are taking place. And whatever we are doing individually is affecting how we are perceiving what everybody's doing at a global level. And so just a little bit, shedding a little bit more light on the thoughts and the emotions, they really are intertwined. So think of the emotions are just a juicier thoughts. It's just another level of thoughts. And many times when we feel or experience darker emotions such as pain, frustration, anger, naturally what we want to do, we want to quickly be done with it. And the natural response is to lash out on that person that is closest to us, or to find some kind of a justification for it just so we can be free from that experience. But what ends up happening when we react out of emotions is they actually magnify and affect those around us in a negative way. So it's really important to sit with your own experience, to contemplate, just to sit and figure out what it is truly that you are experiencing, taking responsibility and understanding that regardless of what happens on the externally, regardless of what's going on the outside, our personal experiences are our own responsibility. So when we take that responsibility, make our experiences our own, that's where our power lies. When we have that power, that's when we become stronger and fuller, and that's when we become emotionally intelligent. And then we can have an intelligent conversation, which is not with a punch of emotion added to it, because that'll burn others. So the emotions, when you're having difficult emotional experiences, it's one thing to talk about them, but it's another thing to lash out on others. I think the lashing out happens because we really need to sit with it ourselves. And we'll walk through a meditation at the end. It's just to sit with it. So the intensity goes down, then you can truly see clearly. So shifting perspective is, instead of looking to the outside, we got to point inward. And instead of thinking about the emotions and circling the same old experiences, we need to change the direction. We need to drop into the heart or drop into the belly with the breath. And so we don't want to escape what we are feeling, but we also don't want to indulge in it. When we indulge in it, that's when we get to the paralysis of the analysis. And we don't want to escape it either, pretending that we're not feeling it and just having another drink instead. So really the place is to be in the middle. And perhaps this is one of the reasons why it is so difficult to talk about the mental and emotional aspect of our being, because there's this middle gray zone. Most of our difficulties as humans is really coming from the lack of ability to navigate the middle, because there's no clear instructions to be in the middle. You have to go by, the feel and the touch and question and adjust this a little bit and feel this a little bit and try this a little bit, because it's a place where growth happens. We don't have clear instructions, so we just tend to go to the extreme. Either we're going to go paint the town red, or we just go, hide in despair. So the place to be is in the middle, as comfortable as it is. That's where the growth and the answers are going to come from. And, mind is a wonderful thing, and mind can also be a very confusing thing. Because of the inner conflicts, we make up all kinds of stuff. Number one is judgment. Judgment means, again, somebody's wrong. Even when we gossip, when we don't like something, when we resist something, it's all judgment. And all judgment is really self-judgment. And because to avoid the pain, we deny that there is pain. We deny that this is happening. We deny that, it's not a big deal. It's nothing. And we're just going to go back to normal. So there's a lot of that happening. There's resistance. That is what resistance to reality. We don't like reality, so we come up with all kinds of ways to make little of it. And on the other side is there's shame, blame, guilt. This is kind of embedded in our culture. And that's really, it's such a waste of our being. It's just a waste of our energy. And this area really needs, when we can heal this, there's so much potential that we have, that this man-made stuff, that, our mind-made stuff that we put into our psyche, that it can spare that space and that energy for us to do so much more and so much better in our lives. here are the many faces of pain. When you see anger, anger is not just anger. It is, there's pain underneath it, avoidance, again, blame, reliving the past because we are still trying to find someone to blame. We get stuck in the same old mental groove. And deep underneath all of that, all of the painful experiences we have is that feeling of not good enough. I'm not good enough. And that's something I think most of us struggle with, even those who look really well put together. At the very core, they all struggle with, am I good enough? Did I do enough? And do I look good enough? Am I built good enough? So there's that question that haunts us. But for now, what's useful is to just pay attention to what you're experiencing without judgment or without any meaning, without making it right or wrong, staying neutral. Allow yourself to feel what you feel, and acceptance, taking responsibility for your own experiences. Our experiences are own because in the, like I said, same pandemic, same things happening externally, but all of us are having a different experience from it. And so, you know, what we want is anything other than that. We want peace, joy, and love. What we don't understand that whole of life, all of life experiences, they include the love and the joy and the happiness, but they also include the anger, fear, pain, suffering, deception, control. And it's really coming to the understanding that all of it is part and parcel of love, and all of it is part of life. We are born to experience this. No one is spared from having these, from going through these human experiences. And this is our way to home. These experiences come so we can heal those experiences and become whole. So it's all about love, baby. So, you know, when we think about love, it's like, it's all the glorious, the chocolates and the mushy stuff. But we don't understand that the negative side, the darker side of love is all the painful things that we go through, but it is part of love. And it is a basic human need. Basic human need is, you know, we want love. And that's one of the reasons why relationships or marriages are very tempting. If we want to be married, we want to have relationships because we think that's a guarantee to get love. And then we soon realize, you know, what love really is. It's not, we're not going to find it in relationships if we first don't find it within ourselves. The basic human need is for validation, for recognition, for connection. And we have a need to belong to something larger than just ourselves. And we can't deny these needs. So this is a good time to really become vulnerable, really become strong enough to be vulnerable, really become strong enough to admit or acknowledge that we do have basic needs for love and connection. And just a quick word on relationships, because they consume most of our mental and emotional space, okay? And focus in the relationship always, you know, always is, remains external. Your fault, you go first, but you did this. And for that reason, we get stuck in the same old pattern in the relationships. Love relationships, you know, we're looking for guarantee that, you know, when I fall in love with somebody, love is guaranteed. We all know that is not the case, because ultimately we have to find out that we have to find love first within ourselves before we can find it in a relationship. So relationships are nothing more but a mirror of you. It's the part of us that we can't see, okay? And if we can hang out in the relationships long enough with a new level of awareness, so I said a psychology major, You don't even need to go to the, big psychology classes or do a major in it. Relationships will teach you enough, will teach us enough if we are willing to learn and look. So again, I can't stress this enough to suspend all expectation and judgment at this point. This is just a difficult time. This is not the time to make anything wrong, really. This is the time to just sit back, be humble, and let it all be, and do the best you can. We can't heal what we don't see. And one of the reasons why same experiences continue to surface for us, so we can heal them. It's not because we are doomed. It's not because we are being punished. We are having the same experiences so we can see it. We can experience it again. And every time we experience it again, we have a choice. Do we want to be stuck in the same old? Or can we choose to view this, a struggle, in a different way? Okay. And our biggest teacher is really our own experiences. That's why they continue to happen. Everything that I'm talking to you about, everything that I practice in my clinical practice, or I teach, or I work with my clients, yes, I have the background knowledge and the expertise, but a lot of it is my own personal experience. There's very little that I have not experienced. Therefore, my teachings come from a place of deep experiences, which are also in books, but it come from a different book that, I'm writing within. So, and if we can learn from those experiences, that is the point of the experiences. If we can change our mind, we can change our life. So remember, mind is a tool. If we understand that, tool means that we can use the tool which is at our disposal in many different ways. We can think, oh my God, the world is ending. It's just horrible, horrible, horrible. And there is that. There are a lot of parts of the world that are ending. I think what's ending is what needed to end. Or we can see, wow, look at the climate change. Look at what people are turning to. And, personally, I have never experienced so much love as I have during this time. I've had people leaving groceries on my door washed, some of my friends, and I've had clients leave flowers on the porch. So I just think wherever you put your mind to, however you view it, that's what's going to show up for you in your life. And so remember, when we continue to go through the same experiences, same painful experiences on a bigger picture, the point is so you can heal from that pain. So it keeps on repeating until you can see it, that there's time to heal it, not to repeat the same old. So we're not being punished. We haven't sinned that we are being punished. We are just given another opportunity to view it in a whole new different way and heal from that pain. So I often say, when we talk about the past, this person has hurt me, that person has hurt me. My whole life has been nothing but, series of bunch of people against me. Well, you know what? Those people are part of your healing team. It's set up that way. You have a soul contract with them. It is set up that way. So people who hurt you the most, they can be your best and most important teachers. Thank them. So it begins with each one of us. It's a freedom from suffering, how to become a full spectrum being, which includes full spectrum being is that person which is the mental and the emotional, the spiritual and the energetic is integrated into the physical and shows up in the way you live, in the way you are with your family, in the way you conduct your business. And when we become that full spectrum being, which includes everything in it, that's how we live in a love-based realm. So we talk about heaven on earth. Heaven on earth just really means experiencing love in your life and around you, inside of you, around your family, around your community. So in order to get love, we give love, be a beacon of love. That's the only way to get it, is to give it. And the first person you want to give it is yourself. And this is what we want to spread, even when it comes to news, social media, sharing, and all of that. Just, give us a little bit of thought to the intention of what you're posting and how is that going to make somebody feel and what it is that you are wanting to share. So just a little more attention, little bit attention to our actions. Little bit more attention to the purpose of our actions can go a long way. So we talk about the energetics. This is, you guys, I'm sure all familiar with the chakra system. That's where the energetic structures are. So I put this picture of this revolving 6-pointed star. This actually is at the heart. Here is the psyche of the lower vibration beneath the heart, all the chakras, and the higher vibration is above the heart. And when they all merge, integrate into the heart, that's when we become the 6-pointed star. That's when we heal. So the 6-pointed star, the 6 aspects are our physical, our mental, our emotional, our soul, our spirit, and our higher self. So, according to, my understanding and what I have experienced, that this life is a continuum of the past lives. And so we continue to heal and continue to become whole. So what I like to do is, if you need, again, this is a big topic. People work with me for months and years to resolve and heal these issues. I would love to help you. I'd love to be able to, offer some time for you. Here's my number. I have set aside time on Mondays, 2 to 5 p.m. This is just if somebody just having a rough day, they are stuck, they feel like they're having a panic attack, or they can't see beyond where they are emotionally. Should you have you're free to call me. I can walk you through some steps and help you in a short time to be able to see through. So again, like I said, these are very sensitive, personal, and difficult issues. A lot of my work, 90% of my work, actually 100% is into these deep realms. People come to me for physical issues, but really we do a lot of work in the non-physical and then work in parallel with the physical, because nothing changes in the physical until we make those shifts in the deeper levels of non-physical. And if you want to look into what that looks like for you to work with me, you can go to my website. There's an initial consultation questionnaire for new clients. You can fill that out. I'll get it, and you can we can chat on the phone and take it from there. So I'd like to take you to the meditation, and I'm trying to now figure out how to stop the live. And so just bear with me for a moment. And to see how to stop the live and stop the share. So I'm going to stop the share at this point.